welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today I'm going to be using some wow products to create some cool backgrounds for our cards. So today's cards are going to be pretty quick and simple, and it's going to be a focus on the background, and we're going to do some really nice techniques using these products. So the first card that I'm going to make is going to be a shaped card. So I've got these modern oval dies which Spellbinders kindly gifted me with. I've used them so much because they're really lovely for so many different things. So I'm going to use it as a shaped card here. So I'm going to take this largest one and I'm just going to overlap it with the folded edge of this card blank, this black card blank. So you can see that that edge is just going to go just over the side of there so that the fold is inside that line and we can create a shaped card blank. So now you can see I've got this cool shaped card blank with very little effort at all. However, if I put it there, you can see it rocks and rolls a bit. So what I'm going to do is to just take a tiny wee bit off the back of here. And you can see just having that flat edge just really helps that card to balance nicely. So then I've also got another piece of black cardstock, just single layer this time, I've cut with the exact same die, and then I've got a piece of adhesive sheet that I've also cut with the same die. So I'm going to peel that off, and then I'm just going to stick that right over the top of here. And I'm going to varnish that down. Then I'm going to peel this off, and then there are some small gaps where there's gaps in the glue. This wouldn't happen if you have the kind of adhesive sheets where it's a whole sheet, as opposed to this is kind of more like glue on a sheet. But I'm just going to fill these gaps with a bit of my Tombow glue, just so I want an all over coverage. So I'm going to put that to one side because I want this wet glue to go tacky as opposed to being proper wet glue. While that's going tacky, I'm going to use this sentiment which is from this Catherine Paulus set called Clovers and Blooms, and I'm going to use this. A good friend is like a 4-leaf clover, a rare find and lucky to have. So I'm going to heat emboss that on this piece of spare black cardstock. And I'm going to emboss that in silver. And then I'm going to use this one of the modern ovals to cut that out. And then I'm also going to silver heat emboss this clover from the same stamp set. I'm going to emboss that in the silver as well. And then I've got the coordinating Clover and Blooms die, so I'm going to use this one to cut out my clover. So now you can see that this glue's gone tacky. There's not really much white left anymore, and tacky is what you want because we're going to add glitter. So I'm going to bring this in, and then I'm absolutely going to cover it with this gorgeous, super powerful glitter inspired by Quadritos de Colores. So I'm absolutely going to cover that. And then I'm going to use this paper that I took off the adhesive just to rub that into the adhesive. And then I'm going to take off the excess and give it a good shake. And I'm also going to go around the edges and just get off any excess bits. So I don't want all of that coming off in the envelope. And look how pretty that is. And the rest of this will obviously go back in the jar. And then I'm going to go back in and redo that now that there's only the one coat of glitter in it, just to make sure that's really nicely stuck down. And I'll give it another flick for good luck, just get off any excess that's stuck on there. So then I decided that I actually wanted this piece to be a size smaller than the card blank. And I have to say, I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but I decided to put it through with the size smaller of my modern oval dies, and actually it worked really well because it's tidied up all those edges. It's really pushed down that glitter into the adhesive as well. So I'm actually pleased that that turned out the way it did, even though it wasn't as planned. So I'm going to glue that onto my card blank. And then I'm going to grab some foam pads so that I can add on my sentiment. I literally can't get over how gorgeous that glitter is. I really wish you could see it in real life because it's so pretty. I'm just going to add a bit of foam pad to the top of the clover and a little bit of glue to the bottom, and I'm just going to add that onto there. And then how cute is that with that gorgeous sparkly background, and the background's doing all the work, and it's really, really pretty. So then for my second card, I'm going to do an all over embossed background. So I've got an A6 black card blank, so that's 4 1/8 by 5 7/8 inches, and I've got this piece of white that is 1/4 of an inch smaller. I'm just covering that with my embossing buddy because I want to completely cover this background with different embossing powders. So I'm going to use the flowers from this same set that my sentiment was from, the Clovers and Blooms. And I'm going to grab my scrap paper in. I know it looks really messy, but I don't want to use a whole piece of paper every time I do a video. And then I'm going to take this largest one first. And when I'm doing this kind of thing, I always like to start with the largest one and go towards the smaller ones. And I'm going to just add a few of these onto my card front. And the reason that I like to start with the largest ones is that it's easier to fit the smaller ones into the gaps, whereas if you leave the larger ones till last, then there might be no space to put them. So I'm going to go with this Quadritas de Colores, the Violetera embossing powder. And then I'm going to heat that up. So you can see that's really, really pretty. It's like purple with glitter in it. And then I'm going to come in with this flower. And I think it's important that between each time you emboss, you just cover it with that embossing buddy again, because otherwise where you've got your fingers on it and things, then it's going to stick in places you don't want it to. So let's just ink that up. And this time I'm going to go in with Sherbet Fizz. You see it's really pretty pink. And I'm going to come in with a smaller flower, and each time I'm just working my way down and using smaller and smaller pieces. And like I say, that just enables me to fill in the gaps a bit. And this time I'm going to use the Honeybee True. And I'm going to go in with this leaf. And then I'm going to use some silver. So then I'm going to fill in the gaps with this tiny little flower. I'm going to come back in with this, the Violetera. So there's a cool background. You can see it's full of different shine and glitters and all sorts, so it looks really cool. So now I want a sentiment for it. So I'm going to use this Happy Birthday here, and that is from the birthday greetings set from Altenew. So then I'm going to emboss that in silver. And then I'm going to use one of these modern oval dies that I used on the last card. I'm going to have it hanging off the page because I just want it to kind of be that side of it. So I'm just going to die cut it like that. So I'm going to pop this up onto my white cardstock. So that's coming off the side slightly, so I'm going to trim that down. And then I'm going to add some glue. So then I've got this Moonlight mix from Lucy's cards. I'm just going to use that to decorate. So I'm going to add these bigger ones with glue dots. And then I'll put the smaller ones on with lots of dots of glue. And then I've just decided to add some of these little dome ones to the centre of these dark flowers as well. So that's that card finished. You can see all those gorgeous kind of like sparkly elements to that. Really adds a nice dimension to the card. So there are today's 2 cards. I actually ended up adding a gem to the middle of that clover as well, the same as I put in the middle of these flowers. And look how sparkly those cards are. So pretty. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's cards. I'd love to know which is your favourite. Please do leave a comment below and let me know. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see any future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when there's a new video available. You can find all of the products that I've used for today's cards linked in the description below, or there's also a link there to the blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope to see you again soon.